me go ahead and set up everything here. Put it all in its correct spot. Or just quit the windows I don't need. All right, you're all fine, and then you all processes go away. I don't need you taking up memory. All right, let's switch over to the main screen. We are ready to get started. So in the previous few sessions, we were able to get, I think most of the gameplay set up for us, including the ability for me to win. So if we take a look at where we are here. We start with me down here. I can run, I can jump. We have a single thing you can attack with, and I have a timer that shows how long it is before I win. And then I can win also. So there's that. Obviously to play, you can do hash fire inside of chat. Maybe we need better instructions for that. I don't know. I would also think that like when we play, we would like say it out loud. Like this is what we're doing, and then other people doing it would like show, hey, this is how you therefore play. There'd obviously be a lot of tweaking that we need to do to like, get that timer exactly right. We have it right now pretty fast, so that way we can just test that, make sure that that's working. We can change that. So next thing up, we want to add a few more entities that you can all spawn that will then, go after the attack on me. So to that end, I've been adding assets into my asset management system, which is Notion. I have other things in here too, but if we go into all, we should be able to do some filters here. I need PNGs. And if we go into let's see, where would be found? I want maybe like we have some weapons type stuff that we can use in here. So one thing I'm thinking about, we could do bombs. That might be good. We could also do a sword. Now it's really small here, so that might be really hard to see. But we can scale it up when we bring it in. So this is a single image, a single PNG. So what I'm thinking of is we rotate it so that the blade is down. It falls down, and then when it hits the ground, maybe it bounces in a random direction, and then until it goes off the screen. That might be a really cool sort of thing to do for it. So I want to choose this one. Let's go ahead, grab you, download. And I'll go ahead and find and throw you into, let's see, where are we? Where are we putting it? Workspace. Not that. Oh, it has to go into target, debug, resources. That's where it has to go. I'm gonna mark you as used. There's the reason I'm doing that is some of these I have licenses where I can use them as many times as I want, and some of them I have a license where I'm only allowed to use it once. And just sort of like knowing like, oh, I have used this before, maybe I should use something else. That way I can just go through all of the assets that I have and, just play around with them. I haven't really like done assets or like actually used an asset management system before, and A lot of like the professional asset management systems I noticed were really expensive. So I decided, you know, let's try Notion. I'm already paying like a couple bucks per month, so let's try, you know, let's upload some files and use them. And it actually works out pretty well. All right, so if I want to add this spawn in, if we take a look in here, inside of this target, resources, here is this sword here. We now want to, in sprites, be able to add this in. So I think that we can do that in the main library. We can create a new sprite. Right, and that's adding it to the player. So this is not necessarily the best system that I can use, because if I were to store, because this is going to be creating and loading the file every time somebody drops it. The best thing that I can do would be having an entire system that preloads all of these at launch time and then just sort of grabs a reference to it whenever it needs to draw out and then does whatever it needs to do. That would be the best. I didn't necessarily set that up for this system. Let's not necessarily worry about it too much right now. All right, so command. We want to add a new command here. Let's first start with right here. Create flame instruction. I kind of want to just copy you. And we want to create a sword instruction. Okay, so flame sprite. Let's rename you to sword sprite. You are gonna be item 1 bit sword .png. There is 1 across 1 down. It's just a single entity. Jowcat. I don't know if that's probably a terrible pronunciation for that. But good morning. Just started watching my old streams on YouTube, and when I started out with Rust, made it quite far, it looks like. Oh, thank you very much. Rust is one of those languages where it does seem to like take a little bit of time to sort of get into, as a lot of people say the learning curve is pretty steep, but it's pretty fun. Like, even at the learning stage, it was fun even back then. So I haven't lost that with it at all. I still maintain that it's a great anti-burnout language. I don't know. I thank you very much for that feedback. I'm gonna continue with it for a while. Okay, so now we have the flame draw system. I want to change this to the sword draw system. We're gonna put it in the sword sprite, and the label we're gonna say sword, and then the column that it's gonna go into. Now we can change the scaling if necessary. So this is a pretty small sword. Let's make it like a 2.5. That should be like 250% bigger than what it is right now. Then we have flame size. So this is going to be sword size. Sword draw system get the unwrap ore. I love this. This is the ability to basically give a default to an option when unwrapping it. So that way, in case it's none, you can just choose something else. Flame game object. Okay, so then we want to change you. Now I don't want to do multi-select on this one because there's another one down here that's the actual real one. So I want to just make this the sword game object. Okay, so now with this, we want to interface the location. We might want to be a little bit more, like, figure out what our locations for this is going to be. Oh, the X. Wait, never mind. Hold, no. I want that. The Y. That's what we want. We want probably this to be like 250. Draw system. Okay, so that puts. We box up the sword draw system. Throw that in there. Put the width and height. Physics system is none, live for none, collidable false, chatter none. Okay, so save all this, and it should now just be there on the side. Oh wait, you know what? I forgot to insert it. Yeah, one problem is here, interface add game object. We have to add this in here too. And I might as well do it right as soon as we create this. So we create the sword instruction and then add game object, sword, game object. That should make it show up. Okay, it should go down just a little bit more, but it looks about right, and that's about the right size, I think, too. So let's bring this down to like 350. There it goes. I think that's a lot better. Then we want to add the command so you can actually drop it. Let's also change the timer so it lasts a lot longer during our tests here. Which I think we can do game time, yeah. So instead of 15 seconds, let's do like 500 seconds. That'll be fine there. Now, command. So we have the command fire now. Okay, so we need to add an actual command. So we're looking for fire, and now we're going to look for sword. So if we get that, then we kind of want to do this, don't we? Get the ID out of parts.next. Now that's exactly the same. And that means we should probably put this into a function to have it call that and just have it return an ID. You know, I could give it a default too. Like if you don't give it the right ID, I'll just drop it in like 5 or something like that. No, might work. Or might drop it into like a random one. That could be really interesting as well. Okay, so if I do this, also couldn't. Okay. So fix you. So we get the ID. We then, okay, so okay, some command fire, then we return the ID and then the name of the chatter, or like the chatter who comes in. Okay, so that's good. We don't want to return a fire. We want to return a sword. And it is going to be the same thing. So you are going to be a sword. I could also create this as its own actual struct, like a name struct instead of an anonymous struct. That way, as we add commands, instead of having to type this all in again, we can just have like, you know, the command struct, like command data or something like that, which might make a lot of sense. Okay, so we do that. That means back here in the library, we can now match on commands telling us we will have fire, and we kind of need to do the same thing, don't we? Let's take a look here. We have fire, and then we have sword. Oh, right, and in sword, we're gonna have our ID, which we're gonna rename to column, and then we have the chatter. So what do we need to do here? We need to basically create the game object and drop it into the system. So that's exactly what we're doing here, is we're setting the scale for this one, setting the drop location. Oh yeah, like figuring out getting a point of where to go. So yeah, this looks like we just need to copy this, and then it gets pushed in. So again, this could probably get added in here. Which means that we can probably put this into a function as well. I'm really curious if I do this to refactor these into a function. Does it add that as a warning? No, it does not. I was kind of hoping that this would turn into a warning, so that way it would just like keep on bothering me until eventually it gets well done. So I think that's going to be something we want to add into our README. So after this, let's go ahead and refactor. Okay, so we want to create command data struct abstract command creation, sort of like, what would I call this? Abstract the arms, like, oh, the redundant command. Okay, abstract redundant command creation code into a function, and then the same thing here, right? Abstract redundant, and this is going to be entity creation code into a function. All right. That way I don't have to worry about this right now, but I can make a note of it, and it'll be the next thing I do before I add like another entity. All right, so this adds us in. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're doing this correctly. Scale, so we want this to probably be something like, let's make it 4. So pretty big. Figure out what the drop zone location is by handing it the column. We don't want to name this the fire sprite. This is going to be the sword sprite. All right, the path. So this is where we also probably want to this is probably like a maybe. maybe if we have performance issues, store sprites in like load sprites to begin with. So load and store sprites in a struct, maybe just data structure to get references later, instead of having to recreate the images every time we need to use it. All right, so for this, we want, and actually it might even be an enum. Well, maybe. Okay, so you are item 1 bit sword.png. It's a single, so that's also like something else that we would potentially want to change. It's like we're assuming everything is a sprite sheet. It's not necessarily a terrible thing, I don't think. Okay, so then flame draw system, you become sword draw system, sword sprite. We have no label for it, and scale by the scale amount, flame size. Okay. You become sword size. Okay, then physics system. So we get that. Okay, so flame object. Whoa. Sword game object. Okay. Okay, so figure out what the location is. Draw system. Do sword. Put that in there. We're gonna have this last for 6 seconds to begin with. Oh, and we don't have a physics system for it right now. So hold on, let's like undo this to begin with. And so physics system, let's make you a none. Let's actually just get you to like show up right in the right spot. We don't have a draw system for this either. And I wonder if we can just get away with a very basic draw system. And I feel like we originally had that. What do we have draw system wise? We have game object draw system, so we could probably just use that. Which right here, game object draw system. Okay, so the sword draw system should work just fine. We just want a new instance of that. So if I run this, and we run the command, we're inserting it in, so it should be drawn out as soon as that command hits. Let's try it. So this is going to be sword 5. There it is. That looks not right, like the right position for it. That of course also disappears like 6 seconds later. We probably want it to last a lot longer. That came in like a little bit too big. Let's change the scale to like 3. I mean, the 2.5 might actually be fine. Keep it like the same as what we had before. If I do that, how do I show? Oh, right, because this is divided by, well, we have the scale, so you should be divided by the scale. Divided by the scale. So then even if I do something like 3, you should be in the right position. Okay, so sword 5. No? Not exactly the right spot. That's like the upper left of it is once again in the center here. And I want to shift it over by half and shift it up by half. It's also not, let's have it live forever for right now. So it's X. Okay, so drop zone location at X minus sword size 0. Oh, okay. So the scale, okay, so we scale it up when we get the draw system. Then we get the size out. So sword size at 0. Okay, so that should be 2.0. Never mind. Because that should give us like the X and a Y off of here, of like what its width and height is. It drops no location, so it figures out which one it wants to go into. Unless, if we go look at the actual spread itself, I mean, it's only this image. So like we want the center spot to be in the center, so that should still be fine. It's not like there's a whole bunch of blank space off to the side. But I kind of wonder if that's the problem we're running into, where it thinks that there's like maybe 2 of them or something like that. So that should give me the center of it, the XYs, and that should give the center of it, the white Ys. Subtract that, and that gives me supposedly the center, but it's definitely not showing up in the center. Yeah, that's definitely the top left of this. Oh no, if I draw the box around it, it's actually... I wonder if I can draw a border around that, just to visualize it a little bit better, because it's possible that that's not that thinks that it is the center, and because the sword is at an angle like this, it looks a little bit off. If we come into our game object draw system, so here's our draw. We have, okay, so if we have a label, we draw the label. So here's where we draw this, the sprite. We can also draw, so we just tell the sprite to draw. Here. Okay, so that means it's in a sprite. So here's the draw for it. I want to add in here graphics draw context. I really just want to like draw a rectangle. Which means, okay, I need a mesh around it. That's really what I need. Because I don't think drop params allow me to do anything. Yeah, okay, so I need... let's create a mesh inside of here. I will call this the border. We don't have a mesh builder here, so we need to like use those. We might as well just use them right here. So we can just do GGEZ, graphics, mesh builder, new. Dot rectangle. Okay, so I guess we already have a. Oh no, we probably won't have a draw mode, so we need graphics, draw mode. This is gonna be stroke. We'll make this 2.0. The bounds, it's gonna be graphics, rect, new. Okay, so then what is our X and a Y? So what are you putting yourself as? We're gonna dest location this, but we do know the location already, don't we? So we can just say it's the location.x, location.y, the width and the height. Do we assume that these are all squares? No, we have width and height. We have self width. Okay. Self.width, self.height. Okay, so that gives me the location. Color, we can just make this nice and red. Oh, and then we want to build this. And then I want to put that after here. Okay, so context, the border, and then the draw params default, and that's it. Okay, so everything should have a border around it now. Oh, look at that. So its width and its height is not set to the proper scale when I create them. So when I scale them up, we're not increasing the width and height as well. So that means when I create them, so here, let's create the sword. Yeah, the box is in the center because that's where it knows that it is. So I need to either do shenanigan math to move it over based upon the scale up, or I need to fix this problem here where the width and the height is actually set to the size of the graphic after I've scaled it. So when I create this as a new one, width, the path, the sprites across, the sprites down, this figures out what the width is. Yeah, so it does all the math to figure out, like, okay, based upon the number of sprites in a sprite sheet, this is going to be what the width is, this is going to be what the height is. Okay, so it It does need that. The problem is we know what the image width, we don't know what the scaled width is though. And what are we doing? Where are we getting that width and height when we like shift it over again? That's from the draw system, I think. Get size, which we're just getting the sprite width and the sprite height. Now we do have this scale by here. We could do a little bit of the math here to figure out, okay, so the box, like the sprite can still be nice and small, but we can scale by, so this is going to be width times self dot scale by okay, so if I do that, now those boxes will still be will be wrong, but like we should get closer to like the real width and height of like what the image actually looks like. So if I run that, now the sword shows up in the correct spot, but the rest of my math is now a little bit wrong. These are actually fine. It's just here that's a little bit wrong. And I think that's just because I was doing some shenanigans and I didn't do it correctly the first time. So we need to fix the player now. Because you're nice in the center still. Is that true? Yeah, you're nice and center. Well, you're not actually showing up according to one of these, you're just showing up there, but you think that you're on the ground right now. So we need to fix that. So in the player, right, so we're doing player size, get the size. Okay, so we don't need to multiply you by your scale. We just give you your size and you just know what your size is. And that should be good enough. There it goes. Now we have the player down there. We can move, still hit the sides of the walls and not go off of them. And if we drop, so sword like 5. Okay, that still works. I could do fire 1. Okay, so that's in the incorrect spot there. And if I do fire 1, okay, so then I can get. I need to actually overlap it to lose. So it looks like the collision detection is a little bit wrong too. So the size of that flame object is incorrect. Okay, so here's where we're creating the flame. So with it, so we need to not multiply by the scale here as well. Not multiply by the scale here. We're getting the actual ones now. So we're putting the correct position. Excellent, excellent. That should just do it. Do fire 0. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay, I have to pretty much touch it to get hit by it, so that's fine. Okay, I think that's working. which means that we can now move on to, that's something else that I've noticed. As part of polish, do I have this? Yeah, when quitting app exit all processes, I have that there as polish. Okay, we want to now make the sword fall down to hit the ground. Which means we need a physics system, and right now we have item physics, and so if I use this specific item physics, it's going to hit the ground and then just stop there. So for example, I should just be able to use that. So that sword physics equals item physics new. I think that's all. And then hand that in here. So physics system becomes a sum box new sword physics. And I think just doing that will make the sword drop now and hit the ground. We can get rid of the boxes around that too. So in the sprite, we don't need this border anymore. We don't need you. There. Okay, so if I do sword 9, it falls and then hits the ground like that and just hangs out, and I should be able to go and touch it and get hit. Okay, so that's perfect. I'm thinking though, with sword, it would be really nice if it bounced, because swords, it doesn't look appropriate. Let's have it bounce and just sort of move around. That would be excellent. So what is that going to look like? We're going to need its own physics system. So item physics right now, that's pretty much just like goes down, drops, and hits. I kind of want to rename this then to fire physics. So in our mod, you are now going to be fire physics. Fire physics. Oh, inside of here, let's rename you to fire physics. Fire physics like that. Okay, then in the main library, take fire physics out of there. And so everywhere where we have item physics becomes fire physics. All right, so now we have like fire physics gets its own thing. We now get a hand in. So for sword, we're going to create a new physics system called sword physics. And this is one of my favorite things about doing this sort of dynamic dispatch this way, is now I can create like very customized different methods of moving systems around, but we just, nothing else happens. Like it's sort of injected. It's a lot more of a dependency injection style than the other, than more traditional OOP style. Of course, like OOP can have a dependency injection, so there is that as well. It's crazy. Every time I look outside, it's weird being in September this early, and everything is covered in snow. And we're in the northern hemisphere. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a pub struct sword. Come on, keyboard. Sword physics. We're also gonna impl use super. This is gonna be just physics system. Good morning, Utsby. What elevation am I at? I'm a mile off, a mile up. So like what, 5280? Give or take a few hundred feet. So Denver, Colorado is pretty high up. That being said, this last weekend was like 95 degrees. And then, so like Saturday, Sunday, Monday was like 90 degrees. Tuesday, 30 degrees and snow. And then same today. So fun. Impl our physics system for sword physics. So we're gonna have, let's see. Do need to derive debug. Oh, and so none of these errors, I'm not going to get any errors until I come into our mod here and add this in. So pub mod. I don't need to pub mod it. I can just mod. This is going to be the sword physics and then pub use. That. Okay, so now if we come back into sword physics, now we're going to get our errors here. It's going to say, hey, we're not implementing update, and update is the only thing that we have in here, I believe. All right, so in update, we basically want to just, first of all, have it fall. That's what we're going to care about here. So let's give ourselves a velocity. And I'm thinking probably we can do like a velocity X, F32, velocity Y, F32, impl sword physics. Okay, so for velocity X, I want to start this off with 0.0. We want this to drop straight down. So velocity Y is going to be, let's say, 1.0. Like 0.1. Let's make it slow to begin with. Okay, we need to bring in rect, context, game object, and result. Use. Okay, so rect. Let's see, context. Ari can bring in imports for you with Control Plus. What? You can? Hold on, let's try it. Oh, that's so nice. I'm so used to like in my like web dev stuff that it just does it for me automatically without even needing to do that at all. So that's cool. It doesn't know how to bring this one in. Thank you, Museum. That's pretty awesome. Use error results. Okay. Type aliases are still work in progress. When that happens and we start getting it, that's gonna be amazing. Okay, so then you're just upset because I'm not actually returning anything from you. So starting with this, we want to update our location. So our location dot y plus equals self dot velocity dot y, and that's pretty much it. That's the only thing we're gonna do, and then return. Okay. It can also do merge, split, and deglob imports if you do control dot on the import stuff. Ooh, nice. I might be doing stuff with this later, so let's go ahead. Nope. So save you. Okay, so now we have sword physics. Let's head to our main library. We're creating, this is fire physics new for the sword physics. We actually want this to be, oh, we need to bring that in. We could bring it in off of, where's our physics? Hold on, so if let's try it. Where did I put it? Sword physics. So if I do, there we go. New, okay. Nice, I wonder how much of it I have to type before I can do that. You're used to the JS stuff auto-importing random packages based on accidental auto-completions that then break things in mysterious ways. Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time. I broke all my tests and like took me forever to figure out that I accidentally imported it from some random library that it just found an export for. And that like broke all my Mocha tests. It was terrible. Okay, so we have sword physics. We want to then pull in sword physics like this. So if you did sword physics new, you can just hit Control dot and import it as long as the symbol name is there. Nice. So anywhere on the line essentially, or anywhere like in this sort of section. Cool. All right, so if I do this, now it should just fall off the screen. Sword 0. So it does. That, as I said, is a bit slow. We should probably increase that speed. And if there's multiple matches, it'll ask you which one you want too. Nice. Yeah, look out. I am in danger. So at this point, I could probably just take a break, go hang out for a while, read a book, come back onto the stream, chat with you all, maybe add another feature, then dodge out of the way. All right, let's speed that up a little bit. So in our sword physics, we have this velocity at 0.1. Let's make this like 10 times faster. It's like 1.5. Where'd it go? There it is. But if it's slow, then it's the pit and the pendulum. Just making an axe, of course. That'd actually be a pretty good one, where like you could actually have something sort of going down on the side, and it's just slowly comes to here, or maybe it like even lowers down as it's going, which would make me have to jump over it. Oh, I like that. Maybe that'll be the next one. Okay, so let's do sword 0. Still not fast enough. I feel like that could be faster. Oh, didn't jump over it. Tensei, you won. Okay, so let's increase your speed even more. Let's do like 3.5. And then what I want it to do is, as soon as it hits the ground, I want it to bounce back up again. So we have the screen size here. So that'll be perfect. The screen size, I think, is actually just the usable screen size, not the actual screen size. Let's see. So if I do if our location.y plus our location also includes our size. So our location.height. Okay, so if that is greater than screen size dot 1, then I want to just, let's have it like maybe not bounce up. Let's just have it like stop right there. So we're gonna do location dot y equals screen size dot 1 minus location dot height, just to make sure that it's stopping where we want it to go. We can do sword 0. So there it falls down. It then just stops right there. Okay, so that's perfect. It could even go faster. Oh, you know what? We have a gravity force here. Hold on. Let's set ourselves up like this. Do 0.0. And every update, we're going to location.y plus equals to our gravity force. That will make it fall at the same speed. We don't have to like play around with these velocity numbers anymore. So if we hit the ground, I then want to give us whatever our downward velocity is. I want to like give that as a positive velocity so that we bounce back upwards again. So location, not location, our self.velocity y location.y, no. I want to do self.velocity y plus equals to the gravity force. Then location.y plus equals to self.velocity y. There we go. Then self.velocity y times equals to negative 0. So -1 would make it exactly the same. So I want like 0.5. So like maybe 0.9. So very close to what it was, but now upwards. So it's gonna eventually go down. Okay, so it's gonna continue to bounce, but it's gonna be less high every time that it bounces. Is that true? No, not completely, because maybe. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Raven Legend, hello. So we do sword 0. Oh, I wasn't on the thing, so I couldn't get out of the way. But yeah, I saw that it was bouncing less and less each time, so that's perfect. And Raven Legend, you won! Awesome! With teammates me! Okay, so I want this to now bounce in a random direction when it first starts. So we need to track to see, well, the easiest way to see is if we have no x velocity, like if it's just 0 completely, then that means we're just doing our initial fall down. And we can even have a function for this to track this. So function is first fall. Yeah, it's maybe has bounced yet, like can you have a sword random command? Are you talking about like a random which like when it goes down? I'm going to add that eventually. Yeah, that will probably come in eventually. Right now no. but it's a really good idea. Okay, so if we do just self, we're going to turn a Boolean, and all I'm going to do is return self.velocity x is equal to 0.0. So if it's equal to 0.0, we haven't bounced yet. Oh, this should be is first fall. So in here, okay, so this will bounce us, and then we can check. So if self dot is first fall, if it's our first fall, I want to give it a random direction left or right, and then have it bounce in that sort of like that direction, left or right. Well, if I want random, we can give ourselves RNG. So when we create, let's see, use rand prelude star, we can store RNG in here. And then in here, okay, so we want to get a random, really we would just want it to be like random left and right, right? Because we want to just give ourselves a random x velocity. If you're just going to use thread range directly, then using RNG thread range is pretty cheap to call locally. It stores in a thread local value. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So here to like just store this, basically do like let, actually this would probably be self dot velocity x equals self dot RNG dot, I was gonna just do a gen range between like negative 5.0 and 5.0. Basically just if rand generate, it'll initialize the thread range for that thread and cache it. What? It does that for me? Oh, that's pretty cool. Instead of like having to do this, can I do the gen range for it also? Or is that only, let's see. Gen is rather generic. Ooh, okay. So let's try this. Let's do, hold on. So self.velocity x, it'll generate whatever the expression returns. So if I do rand gen, so one on I32, F32, gen can do that. Okay, so what was this? This was rand gen that. Oh, it's random. Generates a random value using thread local random number. This is shortcut for rand. Okay, thread range gen. Oh, okay. So how can I give it like the difference between it? Random. So that gives me like a random F32. If you want to range, you have to call thread range directly. Okay, so that's what I was thinking about. So if I do this, it's gonna get between 0 and like F32 max, like the maximum range, which could be way too fast, but you know, potentially hilarious too. This will also be potentially negative But let's try it. So if it's the first fall, we set our x velocity, which will then automatically no longer be the first fall anymore. And then it will sort of just be going all over the place. We also need to bounce off the walls. So here, this is off of the floor. We also need to say, okay, if location dot x, let's do off of the left side first. So if that is less than 0.0, then I want to location.x equals 0.0 and self.velocity.x times equals -1.0. Else if location.x plus location.width. So if that is greater than screen size dot 0, then location.x is equal to screen size dot 0 minus location.width self.velocity.x times equals -1.0. Okay, so reverse that. That should bounce off the walls now. But yeah, if you're not gonna swap out RNG backends like for testing, then just calling the cached one is far easier. Oh, so it also caches it. Oh my gosh. I've been doing it this other way, like just because I thought I had to. So that's super awesome to know that I don't have to store it like this constantly. So let's run this and see what happens. All right, so let's drop a sword and see. Oh, I was clicking over here. No. Okay. I thought I had to do it. Never mind. Let me reload this again. No, don't worry. Here, go ahead and do it again. I'll avoid it this time. Uh-oh, it's not. It didn't bounce up and down. Okay, so what happened here? I didn't get any errors. So if is first fall is if the velocity to x is equal to 0, 0. So that's true. Now we're trying to set the, if it bounces off the bottom of the screen, and we know that it's bouncing because we see that this negative velocity is happening. So if it's the first fall, if that's true, then self.velocity.x is equal to random. So I don't think that this is, so if we run a debug here, and we debug that, I don't think that we're getting the result that we want to. Let's go ahead and run this again. Oh, look at that. So it's giving us a number between 0 and 1. Okay, so we need to scale this up. So it is moving to the right, just really slowly. Okay, so between 0 and 1, that's what's happening. So we give that, then I need to multiply by, if we make them always move to the right, we can scale it up by like 5.0. You didn't need type annotations before. Hold on. Okay. Self.velocity.x times equals 5.0. Cool. Okay, so if I do that, let's try this again. Let's see what happens. All right, let's do. No. You know what would really help? Oh, because doesn't it would generate an F32 or an F64? Oh, okay. And it was looking in the wrong spot for that. But you know what would really help here? If I applied the location. So if I did location.x plus equals self.velocityx, it would really help if I did that. Random. Oh, because the 5.0, it didn't know where that was. Okay. There it goes. So that now moves to the right like that. I want it to move significantly faster. Hey, and it bounced and starts moving to the left. Okay, so that's perfect. Let's do that suggestion that Museum has. Let's do because what we have times equals 5. So times, let's do like 15.0 F30. I guess 15 F32. Like that. Cannot infer type for T. Okay. That'll make you happy. There. That function is new to you, but still pretty neat. Yeah, no, this is pretty awesome. But yeah, we have to do a little bit of turbofish syntax. Okay. Even though like the type, it has the type here. It's like theoretically it should know what this type is. But Okay, so let's try this again. Oh, look at that. Okay, so now I have to avoid this as it's moving around like that. And then you could also drop flames, which then stay on the ground for a few seconds. And then I have to like eventually jump over them. So I think I need to increase my jump height to make it easier to avoid these. But that's pretty cool. I like this. Let's go ahead and increase my jump height so I have a bit better chance at avoiding. Let's see, so what is that? That's gonna be my player physics. We have jump force is negative 8.5. I wanna probably do something like negative 12.5. So if we take a look, I can now jump like this. And I can still move pretty fast. So I can move around. And then when it gets slower, up. The boxes are like maybe not like purely around. Like I would think that I think there's like a margin around me. Probably due to the scaling or probably due to like it being, yeah, there's probably a few pixels on each of the side that I can like check. And I want to probably give myself just a little bit of space. Can you draw a red box on the hitboxes? Yeah, I think that I can. Here's my, I can actually show the hitboxes here. Colliding with, so what I'm doing is, if I'm overlapping here. Do I have context? I don't have context here. So this is gonna be for game objects, draw system. For this, we want to do the same thing we did earlier, and then draw a rectangle, a mesh around here. So let's create that. So let border equals actually I could just do this now. Mesh builder. Can you figure out what this is? No. Can you figure out what that is? Yes. Okay. Builder new. That rectangle. Draw mode. Stroke 2.0. Back to new. Oh, so you don't need to do that one, but I can come over here and do this one. Okay, so for this one, I want to start with, you can either do the location. Okay, so this is going to be location dot x location dot y. And then do I have like a width and a height? I have my own get size. That's what I want to do. I want to get my own size. Do I have that? I do. I have size right here. So size dot 0, size dot 1, color. I don't know why it puts my cursor way back there when I do that. Color new 1.0, 0, 0, 0, 1.0. Okay. Oh, I need to build it. There we go. Okay, so that gives me the border itself, and then we're gonna draw it. Context border, and then drop param. New. Okay. All right, so we pull that in. Let's go ahead and see where our hitboxes are. Oh, that didn't draw it for you. Or you. It just you all. Cool. I did it to the wrong things. Can now jump over these though, so that's nice. Maybe my jump is too high now. It might make it really hard for me to not jump when I don't want to. Also, I'm gonna need that to disappear eventually. Cool. So, this is game object draw system. Oh, I did this inside of when there's a label. I really want to do this all the time out here. Now I have this size right here, so I'm just gonna put this up here so it's available everywhere. And now everyone should have a border around them. Perfect. So we can see that. And so if I get underneath this, well, that worked. It was maybe moving a little bit too fast. Let's do like the fire. Fire 0. No? Okay, that's nice. And so basically, how close can I get to without getting hit? I mean, pretty close now. I mean that. Okay, so that's where we see the hitboxes are, where it looks like we're really close to it, but we're not. So I can reduce the size of my hit by just a teensy tiny bit. The lines look like they touched there. They did touch there. So the hitbox is correct. I just want, because the sprites draw like really close to it, and like the sword is. I mean, if I make the sword spin, it's definitely going to look a lot better. If we go into our player physics, this is where we're doing a collision. So if colliding with, check to see if we overlaps. I mean, it's fine. It actually might look a little bit better if I spin the direction of travel, or just one directional spin. Probably spin the direction of travel would look the most realistic, and then it would also look the best, like make it look more appropriate. So if I do sword physics. So sword physics, I don't need to store RNG anymore. What do I want? I want like a rotation amount. It's like rotate F32. Rotate, we're gonna have 0.0. Then in here, we're going to do self dot rotate plus equals to self dot velocity x. So whatever x velocity is spin in that direction. And then how do I tell it to rotate that when it draws? Because that's the real question here. I might need to like pass in a rotation. Okay, so we need to store. Okay, so on the game, in the game object itself, we're probably going to want to store like a rotation as an F32. So new, we're not going to store that, so we're just going to have a rotation is 0.0. When we run update, we're going to pass in, so our physics system, we're going to pass in self.rotation. And for our draw system, we also need to pass in, we don't need to pass in an update for the draw system there. For a draw, we're also gonna pass in, let's see, draw system, draw context, the location, and then also the self.rotation. And when we clone, rotation, self.rotation.clone. Okay, so now we need to update the draw and update. So that's going to be in, let's see, draw system. Here, draw. I want to take in rotation, which is mute. Nope, just a reference to F32. Okay, so that's going to cause these need to be updated now. So draw. Let's see. Then when I draw, so this is the game object draw system. That's fine. For this game object, if some label, we don't care about if the label, we care about not the border. Here, the actual draw. So then sprite.draw. Okay, so then we need to rotate, pass in the rotation here. What's the technical name for the different files, sort, etc., being used for the main code? The lib.rs and the sword.rs. Oh, like these, like where I have lib.rs here. So these are like library files, module files. Yeah, module files. That museum is correct. And so in Rust, I can have folders for these, or I can have just like these individual files. So, for example, if I have a folder, I have to have a mod.rs in it to sort of like hook up to physics. Otherwise, I can just have command.rs. And I will mark that as answered. All right. Rectangle. You don't need mod.rs with Rust 2018? Really? What do I put in there? If you have foo abrs dot foo.rs, you put a module with the same name at the same level. Oh, interesting. I'll have to play around with that because I hadn't realized that. I just sort of been going with the old style. Also, I realized this chat is really small. There, that'll make it easier to read. So foo/mod.rs is foo.rs. Foo. Oh, interesting. Oh, like we could have foo.rs and foo/ for everything else. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I'll have to play around with that. So, okay, now we need to go into Sprite and add that in there. So in Sprite, in Draw, we want to take in the rotation. It's a reference to an F32. And so here we can have a scale and then a dot rotation, and this takes in an F32. That will be the rotation. All right. You need to be the actual value. It's a style choice. You prefer mod.rs because it makes it easier to grep search for in the terminal. It does make sense to me too. It's sort of like index.js and JavaScript sort of modules. Oh yeah, I don't know how much I like that. Because like the entire idea is like all the physics stuff is now contained in the physics folder. I don't want anything outside of the physics folder to still be physics. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see. So update. Now let's fix the errors as we get them. So in draw system, you get the rotation. Sprite.draw, we have to pass in the rotation. And you draw, we draw system, rotation, It's a reference to an F32. And this is the timer draw system, so I'm just not going to use you. And then in game object. Okay, so physics system update. Did we update you? The trait, physics system where update. We need to bring in the rotation. Mute F32. Okay, now fire physics. You need to take that in. Fire physics doesn't really care about this, so. So you're happy. Player physics, we don't care about that. Sword physics, we do care about that. Which means we don't have a rotate here. We don't have a rotate here. Instead, we have self.rotate, so this becomes rotation plus equals self.velocity at x. Okay, so that works for that. Right, you're gonna have to be dereference it. And then a timer physics, we also don't care about this. Okay, no errors. Let's see if this just magically works. I'm gonna say magic. It's more of, have I forgotten anything? So let's drop a sword. Okay. It's rotating off of the 0, 0, like the top left corner. I mean, it's cool looking, but it's not accurate because I can be hit by those little bit sorts outside of this, and that would obviously not kill me. So I need to rotate it by the center axis, which then I need to like basically do some offsets. I'll need to figure out that math next time, because it's time for me to go to work. As much as I would love to sit here and play with this all day, I do need to go to work and help out with that. Draw param is an offset parameter that you may want to look at. That will be good. I think I want to do that. So that's a really good idea. Let me go ahead and update our README. So we're gonna create the sent entity, spin the sword, look at offset, and this is suggested by Utsby. I'll do @Utsby for that. All right. Cool. We're getting closer and closer to having some cool stuff going on here. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I've got to run. I'm gonna push all of this code up to GitHub later. You can find all that stuff at Bang repo. It's the first link on here. And then I'm gonna push all these videos are being archived after several days of wait time up to YouTube as well. All right, with that, have a great rest of your day. Follow here on Twitch, follow on Twitter for notifications, and I will see you back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, for the next thing. How long will it take to finish the game? I've been working on it for a couple weeks now. I think maybe one more week will be good for it, but I haven't been necessarily like tracking progress or like a burn down chart or anything like that. So it's hard to tell exactly how long it's going to be left. But I want to say that we are, well, if we just look at our to-do list with it, it's like 50%. But I think the rest of it is actually not as hard as the rest of it. So I don't know, probably another week, maybe 2 at the most.